Hello and welcome back to a very special video. The next expansion to World of Warcraft has officially been unveiled at Gamescom 2015. World of Warcraft Legion is going to focus on the Burning Legion's invasion of Azeroth. This is to be the largest invasion ever, bigger than the War of the Ancients, which was pretty big. The Broken Isles is going to serve as the new continent for this expansion and will be the focal point of their invasion. Gul'dan is also present, and hey, it's always great to have more Troy Baker in your game. In terms of features, they have went over quite a few things. Demon Hunters are going to be the new class, we're going to get artifact weapons, we're going to form class orders, and we're going to have a new PvP honor system, along with the usual affair of new zones, new raids, and new dungeons. So the Broken Isles was a massive Night Elf civilization that of course has fallen from grace. The Tomb of Sargeras is here, and more importantly, it is a portal to countless Legion worlds after Gul'dan's various shenanigans. As I said, the largest invasion ever. This expansion is going to start with the Broken Shore, which is where we rise to meet the Legion. It launches before the expansion, which should be quite nice, and apparently we will be surprised and shocked. Ooh, spooky. I think we are probably going to see some very big deaths, hopefully Thrall. Now, after the Broken Shore, we will wake up and push into the rest of the Broken Isles. The shore is apparently similar to what they did with the Warlord's intro, but is very different in terms of how they deal with the storytelling. Hopefully it will be more effective. Dalaran is also going to fly in and become our new neutral hub for the city, which is really quite exciting. So for now, I recommend you just pop off and watch the overall announcement trailer, and then I'm going to dive in to a bit more detail on everything else that they covered. Also, there will be a Q&A in the near future, I believe on Sunday, so we will probably find out more info there. So first of all, Demon Hunters, I'll dive into their mechanics in a bit, but overall, for the flavor, basically Illidan sent a group of elite Illidrani Demon Hunters back on a suicide mission during the Siege of the Black Temple. They went back to the first planet that Sargeras himself created when he was a good guy, and it's the place that he destroyed, and then unleashed the Legion from once he fell. We're going to relive whatever they did, and then we're going to visit the Vault of the Wardens 10 years later, right where we are in terms of time, and we're going to release them because, well, Demon Hunters, pretty good at killing demons, and we're sort of being invaded by demons, so it all makes sense. And of course, there's a very heavy suggestion that a certain Illidan is going to be in this expansion. Gul'dan woke him up, so is Illidan our friend? Is he our enemy? What the hell's going on there? But holy shit, Illidan's back! Now, while we are on the Broken Isles, we are going to be doing some Titanic stuff. The Titans use the Pillars of Creation to create the planet, and we're going to be using them, apparently, to close the tear in the Tomb of Sargeras, though whether that plan will really work out, I suppose, remains to be seen. Now then, Dalaran, it's under Khadgar's control. Who knows where Jaina's went? Alex hinted at her leaving because she's angry at something, so we will have to see. I do hope that they don't completely throw out her character development from War Crimes, though. Now, Khadgar has flown the city to the Isles, and it's going to be our next main hub city, just like it was in Wrath. That makes me very happy. I know some people will probably talk about reuse. Hopefully they do a bit of a revamp to the city and give it its own unique twist. Still though, very cool. Anyway, that's a lot of the main things covered, so now we're going to go into depth about things, and first of all, zones. There are 6 zones. This is of great concern to me, because I do like it when there are more zones, like how it was in Wrath. Of course, it's early days, we're going to have to see, and there is a 7th landmass there that they didn't really put a name tag on. Maybe that's the Broken Shore, or maybe it is a PvP zone. It's hard to tell. So, Val-Shara is the first one, and it is the pinnacle of druidism on the planet, or at least it was. It's now a forgotten refuge. It's the place where Malfurion took up the mantle of Druid, and there we will face Xavius and his Satyr armies, and we're going to be preventing him from unleashing the Emerald Nightmare. We'll be teaming up with demigods and Ysera to fight them back, and we're eventually going to enter the Emerald Nightmare, fight back, and we're going to see big glimpses into the Emerald Dream. Very exciting, and that's something a lot of people have wanted to see. Next, we've got Stormheim. This is very much to my liking because we are going to meet Vrykul, that left Northrend years ago in search for basically where they're really from. Now, we're going to find out loads of different lore about them, and we're going to be fighting their God King, who of course has been taken over by the Burning Legion, or something like that. We're also going to meet some really cool stuff, like Valkyr, that are not all Fallen and Scourges, so proper sort of Valkyrie-style things, which I think will be really, really nice. Next we have Asuna. Now this was a massive Night Elf city that is now in ruin, and when we go there we're going to be finding the ghosts of ancient Night Elves, various things like that. We'll meet some new blue dragons, and finally we're going to be facing off against Ashara herself. No idea where that plot goes, but definitely very cool to see that character in the game. Next, High Mountain is home to a group of Tauren, and when we're there we're going to be visiting the lair of Neltharion, aka Deathwing before he was all corrupted. Who knows what we're going to find in that lair, but it's probably kind of interesting. Now, we're also going to run into some old friends. Yes, Helmut Nazingwari will actually return, and we'll be hunting things with him, which is pretty cool because he's always fun to have. Also, Suramar is a zone. Now, it is the location of a new race of elves that have lived there for 10,000 years and managed to flourish by using magic. Magic which has probably led them into being pawns of the Legion. They also have the last Titan relic that we need, so there's going to be a lot of killing, and, well, including Gul'dan. He's going to be here in Suramar. So overall, looking at the zones, it seems like there's a decent bit of variation, definitely a big palette change from what we got in Mists of Pandaria and Warlords of Draenor, which is great to see. However, there's 6, and that is something of concern to me, so we'll have to see how that goes. Hopefully they're big, though. Now, also, at the very end of this, Alex mentioned that Aurelia and Terulion are doing something, and he said their time is here. What will that mean? Well, we just don't know, but holy shit, they might be back, which, yeah, I think that's kind of nice. Next, we have the artifact system. Now, artifacts are a new kind of weapon. There are 36 of them, 1 for each spec, and after the Broken Shore, you are going to seek out the artifact for your spec. For an example, Ret Paladins will be finding the Ashbringer on the Broken Shore where it was apparently lost. Does that mean Tyrion dies? Also, Frost GKs will find the shards of Frostmourne and reforge them into a pair of rune blades. Interesting-ish stuff. Now, each artifact is basically going to have its own talent system, so you can choose what the weapon is like. There is a trait tree which essentially allows you to customize it, and at the end of the tree you get a big bonus effect. You can also customize them visually and unlock loads of different looks and colors and things like that. There are some really impressive, unique-looking variants of each weapon, too. In terms of some specifics, Mistweaver monks go back to Pandaland to get Shao-Hao's staff. Fellow Milorn is Kael'thas's sword, which was lost in Northrend. That's something that fire mages will be going back to get. The Eagle Spear is a fabled weapon of the High Mountain Tauren, and it's for survival hunters. Does this mean we're actually going to be getting melee survival? I really hope so, that would be so cool. Also, Frost GKs, of course, as I mentioned, get Frostmourne. One thing I wanted to point out, yeah, one of them kind of looks like Muramasa, which is nice. Also, the Doomhammer is there for enhancement shamans. I wonder if Thrall dies. Again, it's got some really nice variants. And Druids get a real treat. The Fangs of the First Nightsaber actually change your model, and also the base cat form is now high res, which is definitely pretty cool. So this artifact system definitely sounds interesting, however I do have some concerns. Does this replace regular progression for our weapons? If so, I'm worried, to be quite honest, because I don't want to just have the same weapon or a variant of it for a whole expansion. It's a bit strange. We're going to have to see how it pairs out, really. I like that there's customization. I like that there's a talent tree, but we just don't know how it's going to be yet. Next, we have class orders. So after the Broken Shore, everyone is struggling, the Alliance and Horde are at each other's throats, but the classes actually band together with you at their lead, and you will build a hall, which is a shared space for your class, a bit like Arcurus. Now, each one is at a unique location, so Paladins have a temple under Light's Hope, and Warlocks actually get a other planet, or at least a smidgen of a planet as theirs, because they can just port off to one of those. Pretty fucking cool. Also, your order has champions, which are an evolution of the follower system. You have far fewer champions, and they're supposed to be more meaningful. Some will be established characters like Liadrin, which I suppose could be a good thing, maybe it won't be, who knows. Now, he said that it's not about them doing things for you. He said that, for an example, you would send them out to a zone, and they would find an entrance to a cave, and then you would get to go and explore that cave. On face value, that sounds very good to me, but we will have to see how it actually is in the game. Again, this is all very early. Next, in terms of dungeons, Ian stressed that they have done dungeons a disservice in the past. He said that they are the heart of an MMO, and yeah, they really did them a disservice. He said there will be more of them than before, and there will be more replayability, including throughout the expansion. So, in terms of dungeons, we have the Halls of Valor. This is a leveling dungeon up in the clouds. Basically, it's fucking Valhalla, which is kinda cool. There's also Black Rook Hold, which is an ancient night elf fortress that's carved out of a mountain, and also the Vault of the Wardens, which is where the Wardens kept many evils locked up. It's where that small cinematic teaser actually took place. Apparently Gul'dan's doing something funny there. There's also a few more dungeons, the Ivashara, wink wink, Darkhide Thicket, Neltharian's Lair, Helheim, Suramar City, and the Violet Hold. That's 9 brand new dungeons listed so far. Hopefully there will be more. Also, in terms of raids, Ian said they are happy with Warlords' structure, which I think is fair. The Emerald Nightmare is going to be a 7-boss raid in which we'll pursue Cenarius and probably kill Xavius. It seems to be the equivalent of High Mall. Suramar Place is the next raid. It's got 10 bosses, and we're going to face off against the Night Elves who have allied with the Legion, and we will basically fight Gul'dan at the end, and it seems like we will kill him. Apparently, it's reminiscent of the Black Temple in terms of its structure, which is pretty nice. Next, Demon Hunters! Yes! They talked about the customization screen first. They've got really cool horns, but if you don't like horns, you can disable them. They've also got class-specific armor stuff and tattoos. Overall, I think they look really badass and colorful, which is great. They've also got their metamorphosized whatever forms, which look really awesome. Now, they're a hero class, so they've got a big starting experience, and they start at a high level. You awake in the Vault of the Immortals because your help is needed, but before that you actually play through the events of 10 years ago as an Illidrani demon hunter who is going to that crazy-ass planet on Illidan's suicide mission, which just sounds like a really cool intro zone. Now the class has actually got 2 specs, Havoc and Vengeance. A Demon Hunter healer didn't make too much sense, and they were happy with 2 specs because they didn't want to do 2 DPS or 2 tank specs because it just would have watered down the feel of each. Now, he went over some of the abilities. Some things build up a resource called Demonic Fury, and some spend it. They have a in-combat charge. They've also got fucking eye lasers. I like that. And you also have Spectral Sight, which lets you see stealth and through walls. That will be interesting in PvP. However, it does look like they have a lot of mobility. They can actually double jump, which, I mean, that's just cool. So overall, they seem to be very interesting, and we will have to, of course, wait to see how they are at BlizzCon and in the beta. Now, the new honor system was the final thing that they covered here, and it seems like this is going to make the PvP community very happy in, I think, a very major way. So, Tom mentioned that they wanted to dial back the effect of gear in PvP. That was very nice to hear. Now, overall, what they're doing is a talent system that is tied into a prestige and leveling system, kind of like Call of Duty, but it seems to be good. As you gain honor, you progress through the ranks, and you earn perks and bonuses as you go. Now, the PvP talents are designed for PvP, and they will allow for separate PvP balance. They only work in arenas and battlegrounds. I'm really happy to hear this, actually. So in terms of power, you unlock your first lot of the talents very quickly, and as you level up more, you basically unlock more talent options. Once you get to the maximum level of 50, you can prestige, which resets all your talents, but allows you to unlock some unique cosmetic stuff. You've got some new mounts, probably some new weapons, and they also said you get a new little icon on your character portrait, which denotes how much you have prestiged. Overall, it seems like in terms of the gameplay effect, it is going to be really good. There is obviously a very overt retention thing going on there with the prestige system, but I do like what they're doing for balance, and I think this will hopefully allow for the classes to feel a lot better, because frankly, it's been a bit of a bullshit system with PvP balance as of late. And finally, for the last bit of news here, the beta's this year. It's later this year, so this expansion is probably going to be coming out decently early, actually, and that really is good because patch 6.2, it ain't gonna last. And that is essentially what they covered today. That's just a run over of everything. If you want to see it all for yourself, then of course there is an hour and a half for you to watch on the World of Warcraft YouTube channel, and of course watch the cinematic thing, watch the gameplay overview. In terms of my own personal opinions, I'll probably dive into this more in the future. This is just more the kind of let everyone know what the hell's going on video. Suffice to say, conceptually, I think this is really great. I love the idea of the Burning Legion invading. I know there are some concerns that it's going to be very similar to what we had, but looking at the Suramar raid, it actually, which is the final raid of the first tier of this expansion, it is completely of a Night Elf sort of magical design. So there isn't really going to be a big green raid. At least that is what Ian Hazzikostas said. He actually joked about a green orc raid with spikes not being what we're going to get. That makes me happy. The palette change is different. I'm very concerned about there only being 6 zones because I love variety when I level up. That's just a big worry for me because I really liked how that played out in Northrend with Wrath of the Lich King. In terms of other things, though, the PvP system sounds great. Having a new class is cool. It seems like the Demon Hunter is great, and I like how they've decided to just do 2 specs and then do them well. So the raid gameplay seems like it's going to be great, as it was in Warlords. In terms of dungeons, I hope they really do stay with that commitment that Ian mentioned about keeping them relevant and not doing a disservice to them. The ones that they actually showed us looked really cool. There are 9 in total so far, which is 2 more unique dungeons from what Warlords brought, because of course Blackrock was a redo, but still I'd like more than 9, and hopefully they will add more in terms of like mid-expansion dungeons. Also, I do suppose that some lore things are a concern because it could get very messy, but I do care a bit more about the overall setting, and the setting does seem cool to me. Anyway, look, of course, BlizzCon 2013 announced a lot, hyped a lot. The beta was a long time after that, and a lot of things were cut. Since the beta is soon, and since they've shown all this stuff, and because Warlords of Draenor was so barren in content, because people were probably working on this thing, yeah, I've got a feeling that we will see a lot of these features in the game, and that we will not have crazy snippage. Of course, be prepared to be proven wrong, and of course I would recommend not to pre-order things in general. Wait and see how it is, and hopefully they will have something that really impresses us. Anyway, that's about it for this video, just giving you a rundown. I will go into more depth and be a bit more chatty about specific things in the very near future. That's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.